Hey, folks, welcome to the September 18th, 2025 meeting of the New Hampshire Network Energy Working Group. And our topic today is opportunities for community outreach and engagement. And we have a guest speaker of Sofia, who's going to talk about window dressers. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, Sofia.
Well, before we do, let's do a quick
Okay, quick
here.
intros.
I know we've got new folks, so we'll just go around and I'll call on you. Sarah Brock, I lead the Energy Circuit Rider program at Clean Energy New Hampshire. If you don't know me, I'll throw it to my colleague Katrin.
Casper, I'm the Seacoast Energy Circuit Rider, and I'll throw it to Zeke.
Hi, Zeke. I am the chair of the Kensington Energy Committee. Let's see, Ted.
Oh, you're muted, Ted. Your first test. Can you find the unmute button? Maybe it's the answer.
Hi, Ted Mead. I'm chairman of the Marlboro Energy Committee.
Welcome.
Thank
And
you.
a new Clean Energy New Hampshire member, if I'm remembering correctly.
That's right.
Welcome.
Yep.
Welcome.
Yeah. Oh, and
Okay,
I will pass it to Gabriel.
Gabrielle, you're muted if you're trying to talk. Otherwise, I can do your introduction for you if you're stuck in a car somewhere. Gabrielle Watson hails from Tamworth and just lost her cell service. But she's on the Tamworth Energy Committee. And she would like to pass it to Karen.
I'm from Milton and I worked with the Soul Smart group. And I do have to jump off at 3:30. I apologize.
That's fine. That's fine. Jonathan?
Hi, John Hewitt from Wolfborough's Clean Energy Committee. Yeah.
Thanks, John. And Catherine?
Catherine Thorndike, Chair of the Sandwich Energy Committee. I'll pass it to Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy Ryder. I am the chair of the Gilmanton Energy Committee.
And Ken.
I am Ken Solden. I'm a volunteer with the Sierra Club, and we've been working on trying to affect some legislation, up at the State House and among other projects that are affiliated with the kind of things you're doing. I recently started, it was back in April, so at this point in time, I'm kind of drinking from the fire hose, as they say. But yeah, we're making some progress in putting together a narrative about crypto mining is a big issue, as well as these big AI centers that suck up a lot of electricity. So we're trying to work on the verbiage for amending the crypto bill, among other activities that the Sierra Club does.
Oh, we just lost Ken's audio.
Among other activities that the Sierra Club does.
I'm hearing him just fine, Mary Beth. Are you hearing us?
I'm hearing you.
Okay, good. I think we're good. Thank you, Ken. We all heard you. And then we have Gerald or Jerry just joined us too. We're just going around and giving out who's here.
Would
So
you
you can
like
just
to
say
introduce yourself, Gerald?
Oh, this is like a sound check, Sarah.
yes, we were just going around as you joined to say our name and what community we were from.
Okay,
So
yeah,
we just
Jerry
happened to get
Burns.
around to you.
Yeah, Marlboro.
Thank you. Good to see you.
And now we have Bill Coder, who just joined. Bill, we're just introducing ourselves and telling what town we're from. So take it away, Bill.
I'm Bill Coder from Bedford, New Hampshire.
Also organizing the Sunday in Concord, as I understand it. So you're very busy. Thank you for that.
Yes, yes.
All right. And I think now we can turn it over to Sofia.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you again for letting me jump in here to just talk about window dressers. I'm going to share my screen. Sorry.
Yep, looking good. I'm seeing your slides.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Are you seeing the slides?
Yep, yep, we're seeing the slides, just like we should.
Okay, perfect. So I am the communications and outreach coordinator for Window Dressers. I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you all about our program, and I'm really hoping that it maybe spark some interest amongst some of the energy committees in hopes of bringing some new window dressers community builds to New Hampshire. So a little bit of background about what Window Dressers is, how we got started. We started in Rockland, Maine in 2010 when a handful of community members realized their church was losing a significant amount of heat out of its leaky aluminum-clad windows. And they decided to take action and build these custom-made window inserts for the windows. And when members of their congregation felt how much warmer it was to sit near those windows, they asked if they could get inserts for their own home. And from then, it just kind of snowballed. So the folks that started this started building hundreds of inserts for just the Rockland area. And then word quickly spread. And by 2012, Window Dressers had officially become a 501c3 nonprofit committed to helping communities kind of across our region, which started with Maine, but has expanded, helping them save on energy costs while staying warm through the winter. And today we have a team of 5 full-time staff members, as well as a Resilience Corps member who joins us through like an AmeriCorps program. And we mostly work remotely. We do have a production facility in Searsmont, Maine, which is where we prepare all of the materials and jigs needed to make a community build possible. So just to give you kind of an idea of the range that we operate in, all of those little dots are the community builds we have in New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont. And we've really tried to kind of expand and grow. We expanded in Vermont, that kind of exploded, and that was really due to a similar organization to Clean Energy New Hampshire, which is VCAN, and they have a network of energy committees. And so a lot of those energy committees take on a community build as one of their projects. So it's helped us to kind of grow, and I'm hoping we can do something similar in New Hampshire. So what is Window Dressers? What are we all about? What are we doing? Window Dressers brings community volunteers of all economic and social situations together to improve the warmth and comfort of interior spaces, lowering heating costs, and reduce emissions by producing these custom-fit, low-cost insulating window inserts. They kind of really function as, the best way to describe it is an interior storm window that goes on the inside of your home. And how do we do this? So we do have 5 staff, but we rely heavily, and we are a volunteer-driven organization that works with community-based volunteer groups to host what we call community builds. So what are these community builds? They're week-long events in the fall where local volunteers, neighbors, and customers who are receiving inserts all come together to help build these inserts for their community. Everyone who receives inserts also participates at the build itself, giving their time to help build inserts for the whole community. And this cooperative build model is how we can kind of keep the price really affordable and low for anyone who needs inserts. Inserts are available to anyone in the community who requests them, so however you define that community that you're serving. And around 30% of all of our inserts go to low-income households for no or low cost through our special rate program. Our special rate program operates on a sliding scale, pay what you can afford model. So for some folks, that means getting them for free. For some folks, that means they can contribute $15, $20, $100. And that goes back into the program and helps us provide inserts for folks for free who are really struggling with their heating costs and just staying warm and paying for the necessities throughout the winter. So what are these inserts? You can see in this image right here, there is a pine insert on the right in that window. Each insert is a custom-made pine frame wrapped on each side with tightly sealed clear plastic film, which creates an airspace between the two layers of plastic for additional insulation. The insert is finished with a compressible foam gasket. The foam allows enough give for the inserts to slide easily into place in the fall, and then they can be removed in the spring, while holding firmly enough to provide a snug friction-based seal. Because they are removable, households can use them year after year to save on heating costs, so it's a really great kind of reusable weatherization retrofit for leaky windows. The cost of a pine insert for an average size window is around $50, and with proper care, they can last up to 10 years or more. I hear from volunteers all the time who have had their inserts for upwards of like 15 years, like almost 15 years. For one of our original like co-founders, I talked to him, and he's just now getting, I think, a handful of his inserts replaced, and they've been in there since the beginning. And if they do get damaged, like if you have kids or cats and they get a puncture hole in them because they are plastic, so they can tear, you could get them rewrapped at another community build for like $15. And how do these inserts work? So around 30% of a home's heat is lost through windows, and our inserts help reduce this heat loss by providing extra insulation. With an insert in a window, you'll get 3 sealed air spaces that will provide additional insulation against the cold, reducing drafts and condensation. The first sealed airspace is between the 2 panes of glass. The second is between the 2 layers of plastic in the insert. The third is between the window and the insert. Each insert in a window saves around 8.5 gallons of heating fuel each year. And if you multiply this by the number of windows in a home, the savings can really add up for folks. And we estimate that these inserts will pay for themselves within 1 to 2 heating seasons, and then you can continue to use them year after year. So a little bit about community builds and how to bring one to your town and your community. Each community build is run by a team of local volunteers, and these leadership teams of volunteers are led by at least 3 to 4 core organizers, plus 4 to 6 measuring volunteers. And those measuring volunteers are the ones going into the homes because each window is custom measured. And sharing responsibilities in this way expands the networks of leader in the community and ensures that the time required of each member of your team is reasonable. The volunteers are really the driving force of this work, and we couldn't do it without them. They're the reason we can have community builds in all of these locations. And the volunteer team helps secure a donated space for the build. Again, like a week-long event, usually held in churches, sometimes school gyms, community centers. They also recruit community members who want inserts. They measure the windows, so they're going into the customers' homes to measure the windows. And then they also pick up the community build's order of the pre-cut and labeled wood and all of the gear and supplies needed to assemble the inserts, which Window Dressers provides. And just a little bit of kind of what we provide to all of our volunteer teams. We provide them with step-by-step training and support on how to organize a community build. We have very detailed guides and instructions for every single step of the process because there is a lot that kind of goes into all these events. We also offer skill building workshops on measuring windows, on conducting outreach, and volunteer recruitment and fundraising. We also provide the teams with the laser measuring devices that they use to measure the windows, as well as mentoring support from experienced community build teams, which can be really helpful for when you're kind of starting fresh. We will team you up with a team that has done this several times for any questions and will help you kind of walk you through it on the day of the builds. as well as year-round staff support to answer any questions and guide your team, detailed resources and guides for each core volunteer role. And we also have custom computer software for tracking orders as well as entering the measurements. And of course, all the materials for the inserts, including the wood, cut to size and ready to assemble, as well as custom gear used to assemble the inserts. So what happens at a community build and what does that really look like? How do these inserts get assembled? There are 9 steps in the insert assembly process. And the first one is the frames are assembled. Once the frames are assembled, the next step is to run a layer of double-sided tape around the perimeter of the frame, which you can kind of see here in this left corner, black and white photos. That's one of the jigs we have for the applying white tape. Then a layer of plastic is stretched across the frame and adhered to the double-sided tape, which you can see on this photo on the right here. That is a wrapping table. So they are applying a layer of plastic to the insert frame. Then it goes back to the white tape, it gets another layer, and then it gets another layer of plastic, which creates that kind of sealed airspace within the insert. After it has both sides of plastic, heat is applied to shrink the plastic and remove any wrinkles, which you can see in the upper left-hand photo. That's kind of what we call the heat bridge. So just kind of getting out all the wrinkles so the end product is a really nice, very clear insert. And then after the heat is applied, we do clear tape. Clear packing tape is applied around the perimeter of the frame just to kind of really seal in all the materials in place. After the clear tape, we add a pull tab, which allows for easy removal of the insert at the end of the heating season. So you don't have to struggle to get them in and out. You can just kind of pop them in, pop them out when spring rolls around and you are not using your heat anymore. The last step, as I mentioned, is applying foam gasket around the perimeter of the insert. And each step of this assembly process has an associated, what we call a jig, that makes the task easier to do and more uniform. And they're really great because they guide each step of building an insert so that anyone, regardless of experience, can assemble inserts easily. You don't have to have any kind of background with building things or construction or anything like that. It makes it really simple. So anyone off the street can come and get taught on how to use a jig for one of these steps of the insert assembly process. And then kind of a quick look at just the impact we've actually made with all of these inserts since 2010. Cumulatively, Window Dressers has built over 78,000 inserts that we estimate have saved 3.9 million gallons of heating oil and 44,000 tons of carbon dioxide, as well as 550,000 MMBTUs of energy. And kind of to put this in perspective, saving 44,000 tons of carbon dioxide is the equivalent of taking 9,600 cars off the road for a year. And these inserts stay in year after year, and kind of this impact just continues to grow. The more inserts we build, the more communities we reach. And just to touch quickly on, we're trying to expand builds in New Hampshire because we have a few, but we really think that there are people there that could really benefit from having inserts in their homes, and kind of all of New England. We all live in these old homes with leaky windows, and the price of heating is constantly going up, and we're trying to find new ways to save energy as well, staying warm. And so in 2024, we had 5 builds in New Hampshire that produced 839 inserts that helped save 82 tons of carbon dioxide and over 7,000 gallons of heating oil. And that was just for that year alone. That's not cumulatively a year after year. That's just for that year and what those community builds helped save. This year, we have 6 community builds in New Hampshire, in Concord Exeter, New London, Canterbury, Peterborough, and Conway. And I'd also like to just extend an invitation if you're interested in leading a community build or if you're simply curious about how our program works. I would be more than happy to help arrange that for you to come visit one of the builds this fall. They're coming up in October and November. And I think really going to a build and seeing it in action is one of the best ways to truly understand kind of the work that we do, and seeing it in action. And we'd just really love to have you there. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
I'm
I know we
curious.
have one question in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Hold on.
Sorry, go ahead, Mary Beth. I think we spoke at the same time.
Okay. Is this applicable to things like, I'm thinking like the Merrimack Historical Society is an old building with huge, those big old like schoolhouse windows, and it's just a big leaky old building. Are they eligible, and how do you work with the town?
Yeah, so it kind of depends, but they're definitely applicable. We have helped put inserts in municipal buildings, in libraries, and even in some cases, like local businesses. So it kind of operates the same way as it would residentially. So they pay for the inserts and then they send volunteers to come. But yeah, we don't do just residential. Like we've been expanding that more and more. Lots of libraries and different things like that.
And then what Amy asked if you've worked with scout or school groups?
We have not worked with scouts, to my understanding, but we have worked with different school groups in a variety of different ways. There's one build that we had in Maine that we partnered with this school, and so the students helped build all of the frames because that's the first step. They helped build all of the frames for the build so that all of the frames were just delivered at the community build and ready to go. But we do. But yeah, sometimes we'll partner with schools, and so they'll send like a group of kids needing to volunteer. And we don't really have like an age restriction because it's so easy and to assemble. I think we say like 9 and 10 and up, I think. So yeah, we have done that before.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Sophia, there's a rather long technical question from Zeke, and those of us who know Zeke know he's our resident energy wonk. So take a moment and read what he wrote, and I'll let you respond.
I can summarize it, but
Perfect.
yeah, because I just started thinking, and by the time I hit submit, it turned out to be really. All I said was that it's actually pretty unique that the inserts are double pane, because the math that we always do with inserts is it halves the U value, which of course, doubles the R value of the window. Having another one would theoretically half it again, and at that point you're at double pane territory, which is pretty impressive. That's not assuming that you're starting with a double pane and then you're I don't know. At that point, I don't know what the math would be. I don't think it scales linearly. But having a calculator, and I don't know if you guys have a calculator where someone that's considering this program goes in and says, oh yeah, well, I'm going to put, I don't know, 10 windows. That's about 240 square feet. How much do you think I'll save? And it's not going to be, usually it's not a ton of money, like at the residential level, but it's not nothing. And it might get them over the hump of like, oh, well, I don't know if I should be spending $200 on these window inserts, but if you save $300 in the first year, then maybe.
Yeah, we do have a calculator. And the calculator it takes into account, we had a UMaine professor do some research and create this calculator that takes into all those things into account. So it takes into account like the single pane versus double pane. We don't have one that like we don't have it yet that we can kind of say, oh, this house is gonna save X amount, because again, the calculator, it depends on what type of like fuel they're using, because our model is kind of based on specifically heating oil, because that's such a primary source of heating oil like fuel source in New England. But yeah, it does make a huge difference. I think we calculated like our R value. I might be making this up, but I think it is 2.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah,
But that's the R value of the insert, which you then have to add to whatever's there already,
yeah.
right? And if a single pane window is R value of 1, that's now triple pane. So it's like technically 1/3, but the professor probably knows better.
Oh, I see another question. Can small towns do workshops together? Yes, 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 absolutely. That is something we see a lot, and we have been trying to encourage more and more groups to do is partnering with other towns surrounding you and different groups to kind of take more of like a regional approach, because this is an issue. There are homes throughout our region that need insulation. In your surrounding communities. So we definitely encourage it, if anything.
Yeah, I would say particularly because you're trying to get that volunteer mass together to do the builds, it's a lot easier to pull from a group. Are there examples in New Hampshire of that? I want to say that New London probably is a regional build example simply because Kearsarge Climate Action is a regional group. But maybe you can give us specific examples.
Yeah, I believe the Canterbury build involves like, or maybe I'm getting them mixed up. Do we have like there's Lions clubs that are really involved as well as towns. So they do serve regionally. So a lot of the builds, there's one in New Hampshire called the Merrimack Valley build, and that covers several towns and has different like groups all working together. So yes, it does definitely happen in New Hampshire.
Mary Beth has her hand up again.
Oh, all of this is great info, but then I'm trying to go, so how do we go from here to operationalizing it? Like if I'm in Merrimack, how do we find the people who need these inserts? How do we help them calculate how much it's, and do we have to do any fundraising? Like if we're going to do the historical society, it's nobody's home, so if we had, because I don't know, you guys wouldn't say we'll do with the Merrimack Historical Society for free, probably. They'll be like, well, people in Merrimack in general are pretty well-to-do. Merrimack should pay something. I do, like, what's between this talk and actually getting things going? I guess I need a little bit more guidance on what we should do.
Yeah, so then kind of next steps, if you are interested, I can drop the email of our program manager in Maine, and kind of the next step is just meeting with her, kind of expressing interest, and then we have tons of documents and guides that kind of more thoroughly walk you through like what it takes to run a community build and get one started. So that's, I would say, is like the next step. And then part of that, once you kind of sign on and agree to it, is one, getting a leadership team together. And then we have a ton of trainings that we put all of our new teams through. And one of those is fundraising, because we do encourage all of our teams to fundraise. All teams operate a little bit differently. And Window Dressers does apply for specific grants to support special rate inserts in certain communities, but then we have teams that also do local fundraising for a variety of different things. So sometimes that means to cover special rate inserts for their whole build, or to help with like conducting outreach, which we also will provide trainings on, and materials. We have a vast resource of like outreach materials. So we try to make it as easy as possible. Say, here are the steps, but then also here are all of the materials that you can use to go out and do it.
Thank you.
And what is the timeline for a community that wants to get involved in a build? How long does it typically take to go from, I think I want to have a conversation with that main program director, to actually doing a build? And are there seasons where this works better or worse?
It kind of varies. I mean, it varies. It can take maybe like it depends on the season because the community builds themselves, they happen during the fall. But the whole process of running a community build is really like a 6 to 9 month commitment because all of those, we need to one, recruit customers. So that usually happens well in the spring through the summer, early spring, late winter, and then like in the fall, that's when the builds are obviously. So it really depends, but like right now for you guys, I would say now is a perfect time to like kind of dip your feet in and visit a build if you're curious, because we do have the ones like locally, and just to kind of see what it's all about and even talk to, I can introduce you to some of the local coordinators. That are operating at those builds and just to ask them questions about like how did this go. But yeah, I would say about like sometimes the conversation is like it goes from this conversation and 2 months later they're like committed, they're finding a space. It really just depends on like your timeline along with our build season schedule.
Thank you. That's perfect. Super helpful to think about this fall being a good time for communities to think, well, maybe a year from now we might host a build, and what would that be like, and start having the conversation and talk to the Lions Club and the local Girl Scouts and see if there's enough local interest in people wanting a hands-on, like feel good project. And I will say that part of the reason I was excited about you coming and talking to us this month is that I feel like the world feels a little bit heavy right now, and community builds for something like window inserts for your neighbors is like, it's hard not to feel good about that. That's a very tangible come together kind of thing that I think a lot of communities might actually be interested in right now. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, and I just please reach out if you would like to attend any community builds to see what it's about. I think it's my favorite aspect of this work is going and to the physical builds themselves because it's hard to describe and explain this whole process, but once you're there, we really call it a like you're building community because you're bringing in neighbors who maybe have never been in, would have never have met or been in the same room before, and they're all kind of coming together to work towards this common goal, which is helping their neighbors weatherize their homes and save on heating, and working hand on like working on a tangible project like across a work table together. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So what I can do is, we'll get this recording. We'll now have a recording that we can say anyone who's conceptually interested is like, watch this half an hour with Sophia to get a sense of it. We know to contact you and or Jessica if folks are interested. Could you send me and Mary Beth too? I'll make sure Mary Beth gets it. A list of the schedule of any upcoming builds, because it would be great to be able to reach out to our whole list and say, here's the list of builds. If you want to attend any, email Sophia. Watch this little piece and follow up with window dressers if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can send you over the slide deck as well, so you have
that
everything.
would be wonderful. We can post that online with the recording.
Perfect. Awesome.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any other topics that we want to discuss? Other ideas for community outreach and engagement?
Well, I was curious to hear, I know at least Gabrielle just went through, because you're now past your date, right, Gabrielle? It's already happened, the home tour piece. But any of you that have had events this fall or are planning them, anything you want to share about how that's going? I know, Bill, you've got Sunday coming up, but I've heard a lot about public events this fall.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about our home tour and Clean Energy Home Tour and Expo. This was organized by people in 3 towns, Tamworth, Madison, and Moultonborough, and we had participation from some folks in Sandwich as well. And the idea was to invite people who've done energy improvements on their homes to open up their house for an open house to let neighbors come in and learn about what they did and what their process was. So we ended up having 9 homes, everything from DIY, 200-year-old retrofit, farmhouse to DIY new build, very modest kind of a cabin to like all the bells and whistles, new build, soup to nuts, gorgeous, and then retrofits of some, more modern houses like from the 80s and 90s. And a number of people had geothermal, almost everybody had solar. A lot of people had heat pumps, heat pump water heaters. A lot of people had spent a lot of time insulating, air sealing, weatherizing their homes. So there were a lot of things for people to see. And we asked the people who offered to open up their homes, like which contractors they had worked with. And then we did some outreach to contractors and invited them to come to a clean energy expo that was 2 nights before the actual home tour took place, so that people who wanted to meet contractors who work with homeowners in our in our communities, could get to know who those contractors are, ask them questions. We also had somebody, thanks to Sarah from NH Saves, come, and so that was actually really great, and I think something that we'll repeat again. We had about 36 people sign up for the home tour, and I haven't done the total head count yet, but I think we ended up on the one rainy Saturday that we've had all summer, with a low turnout. So I think we had about 15 people go around to the various houses. But the visits that happened, the homeowners reported, really interesting conversations with people asking about it. And the other thing that I'll mention is that we prepared an information sheet. We helped the homeowners prepare an information sheet with just a really brief description of their house, and some of the features that they'd done, like had they done solar, geothermal, and so on. And then a description of like the process that they went through, the journey that they went on. We started with lawn tools, and then we thought about solar. And then once we got solar, then we decided to electrify appliances and things like that. So you got a sense of like how the homeowners went through their process, and then listed all the contractors and vendors that they worked with. So I've now compiled a whole information sheet with vendors and contractors that I'm going to be posting on our Energy Committee webpage to make it available more broadly.
That's awesome. And any of that you collected from the homeowners or the vendors that you think is okay for public consumption beyond just your region, let's be in touch about if there's anything that we can put in our statewide library to make accessible to other communities. That would be great. Thank you for sharing. And I saw in the note, Jerry and Ted considering talking about the coaching program that has been going on in the Monadnock region, and that Marlboro, I think, is on deck to start cranking on. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
That's right. On October 4th, we're going to have a kickoff event with the Sustainability Hub to introduce our coaches to the community and invite anyone that wants to come and just find out more about the program. So we're starting our outreach now to advertise that, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout.
Keep us posted. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
There's many communities around the state watching you closely to see how this all goes down.
Oh, good. Jerry, do you want to add
in a good way? We hope that you have success and that other communities are hot on your heels.
Yeah, good. That's great. I don't know if Jerry wants to add anything.
Oh, Jerry, you're muted.
A little bit of context. This is home energy coaching. It's a program that allows people who are interested in making energy efficiency improvements in their households to kind of get started, to figure things out, to learn about the financial incentives that are available. And by the way, some significant financial incentives are still on the table from the Inflation Reduction Act. So we're kind of counting on those. The hub is also looking to create a fund of its own to supplement the state and federal incentives that are available. So all of this would be the kind of landscape of opportunity that we would hope to open up to homeowners. And I think we're trying to make this sell pretty much on a economic and comfort and sort of state-of-the-art practice, kind of that sort of level. We aren't pushing hard on the climate change, but obviously that's what's really motivating us to try to make this transition. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're in addition to a direct mail postcard that we're sending out. We've had an article in the town newsletter. We're putting up yard signs. We're hoping to get a radio slot. Ted and I, of course, have great faces for radio, and so we're hoping to do that, and maybe even get an electric sign, advertising the event. So we're really trying to ring the bell, and we hope that that the bell will be answered by our residents.
Gabrielle had a question for you in the chat. Where is the hub located and who is eligible to take part in the coaching?
Yeah, well, the hub is Monadnock region. We don't have a physical space. We're pretty much an online organization in a lot of ways. So it is limited to it's basically the same communities that are served by Southwest Region Planning Commission, so southwestern part of the state. And as far as who's eligible to take part, we've talked about that. We have had some inquiries from outside the region, and we have tried to accommodate those folks with coaches. Right now, frankly, we've got plenty of coaching available, but not so many clients. So we're trying to break through with this event and get a substantial number of clients. So our first, we're first of all looking to promote this in our communities, but we're also hoping that other communities outside the region will have a look and see if this is a program that maybe can fit their needs. And certainly the hub and Marlboro, the Energy Committee, will be happy to talk with people about our experience and let you know how it's gone and how you might want to proceed.
Thank you. Yeah, I look forward to tracking your progress. I remember going to a Monadnock Sustainability Hub dinner earlier in the year, and Dory's comment was, it's like a little mini energy circuit rider program for residents that complements what Katrina and I are able to do for municipalities statewide. I think it's so great.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Is there anything else before we wrap this up? Oh, of course, Bill, do you want to give everybody the reminder about Sunday coming up? I will be at Concord. I'm going to be tabling with Citizens Climate Lobby. I'm also part of a bridge brigade where we're going to have pro solar signs on bridges all around Concord on 3 different bridges. Go ahead. Anything you want to say, Bill?
There's about 9 speakers now lined up. Everybody from Dan Weeks at Revision Energy to I guess Lee Oxenham is representing Sierra Club. We have primarily Revision Energy as our go-to solar experts, although we do have a volunteer from the owner of Barrington Solar will be there. answering questions. We have some activities for kids. There's music. And I guess there's maybe about a dozen organizations with tabling, including Citizens Climate Lobby. So now all we need is turnout. So it'll be interesting.
All right. Hope to see you there, everybody. Everybody have a good weekend. Thank you very much for a good monthly meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.